Right now, as you're watching this, evacuation orders are being issued across Southern California. Christmas Eve 2025 is about to become one of the most dangerous weather events in California history. And what I'm about to show you in the next 20 minutes could save your life or the life of someone you love. This is not a drill. This is not another weather forecast. This is a life-threatening emergency unfolding in real time, and the clock is ticking. Here's what's coming. A rare high risk of excessive rainfall. Let me put that in perspective for you. The National Weather Service only issues this highest level of alert about 4 times per year for the entire country. 4 times. And one of them is happening right now on Christmas Eve in Southern California. But here's the question nobody's asking yet. Why is this storm different? Why are meteorologists who've lived through California storms their entire lives saying they've never seen anything quite like this? Stay with me, because at the 30-second mark, I'm going to reveal the 3 zones where this storm will hit hardest. And if you or anyone you know lives in these areas, the next 20 minutes might be the most important information you hear all year. The 3 critical zones are the transverse ranges, the coastal slopes just north and west of Los Angeles, and the burn scar areas around Malibu. Write those down. Share this with anyone you know in those regions. Now here's your first reward for staying with me. I'm going to tell you exactly when the worst of this storm hits, down to the hour, not tomorrow, not eventually. I'm going to give you the precise timeline. But first, you need to understand what an atmospheric river actually means. Picture a river in the sky. Not a stream, not a creek, a river. This atmospheric river is carrying moisture equivalent to 15 times the flow of the Mississippi River. 15 times! That's not water flowing on the ground. That's water vapor suspended in the atmosphere. All of it aimed like a fire hose directly at Southern California. Every 10 to 15 seconds, enough moisture to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool is moving toward the California coast. Think about that. Every breath you take, every 15 seconds, another swimming pool's worth of water is racing toward the mountains above Los Angeles. But it gets worse. And I need you to understand this because it's going to determine whether some communities survive this storm intact. The terrain is about to betray the very people it's supposed to protect. Those beautiful mountains that give Southern California its character, they're about to become the enemy. When this atmospheric river hits those slopes, something called orographic lift occurs. The moisture gets squeezed upward, condensing rapidly, releasing massive amounts of rain in a concentrated area. 4 to 7 inches of rain is forecast across wide areas. That's half a foot of water falling from the sky in less than 24 hours. Your bathtub probably holds about 40 to 50 gallons when full. This storm is going to drop the equivalent of 70 to 100 bathtubs full of water on every acre of land. But in isolated spots in the foothills, 9 to 10 inches. Some computer models are showing localized amounts even higher. 10 inches of rain is enough to float a car. It's enough to turn a dry creek bed into a raging torrent in minutes. Now, I promised you the exact timing. Here it is. The heaviest rain arrives Wednesday, December 24th. Christmas Eve. It begins Wednesday and persists through Thursday morning. You have an 18-hour window of intense downpours that could overwhelm drainage systems. 18 hours. That's the window when this storm is at its most dangerous. Mark that down, Wednesday into Thursday morning. And here's the twist that caught even experienced forecasters off guard. This isn't just a rain event. This is a multi-hazard event occurring simultaneously across the most populated state in America. At the 5-minute mark, I promised I'd deliver something crucial. Here it is. The hidden danger nobody's talking about yet. Tornadoes. In California, on Christmas Eve, there is a 2% tornado risk for Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Sacramento tomorrow. Now, I know what you're thinking. 2% doesn't sound like much. But in California, in December? This is extraordinary. This is the kind of weather pattern we associate with the plains in spring, not the West Coast during Christmas. That low-pressure system sitting just offshore is creating intense wind shear. We have a screaming 100-knot mid-level jet stream punching over the region. For perspective, 100 knots is 115 miles per hour. That's hurricane-force winds at altitude, creating the rotation these storms need. These won't be the large, long-track tornadoes of the Midwest. These will be brief, but they can still be deadly. Damaging winds, hail, and yes, tornadoes are possible. Drivers on Interstate 5 and Highway 99 need to understand there will likely be tornado warnings in California on Christmas Eve. When was the last time you heard that sentence? Tornado warnings in California on Christmas Eve. But while the valleys face flooding and tornadoes, the mountains face their own catastrophe. The Sierra Nevada is about to get buried. 4 to 8 feet of snow, not inches, feet. 8 feet of snow in some locations above 7,000 feet elevation. That's taller than most of you watching this. Imagine snow piled higher than your head, falling in just 2 to 3 days. And this isn't the light, fluffy powder that skiers dream about. This is concrete-like snow, heavy and wet, the kind that collapses roofs, snaps power lines, and traps vehicles for days. Snowfall rates will exceed 2 to 3 inches per hour at the peak. That means in the time it takes you to eat dinner, another 6 to 9 inches could accumulate. In the time you sleep for 8 hours, another 16 to 24 inches. Travel through Donner Pass on Interstate 80 will be nearly impossible. Even experienced drivers, even people who've lived in these mountains their whole lives, will be stranded, not stuck for an hour, stranded for days. And here's where faith comes into this story, because sometimes we need to trust in a wisdom greater than our own. Proverbs 27 verse 12 says, "The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty." There is no shame in seeking shelter. There is no weakness in changing your travel plans. There is wisdom in recognizing when nature is showing us something beyond our control. Now, let me tell you something that happened that illustrates why this storm is different. A meteorologist who grew up in Southern California shared this morning that when he was a kid, his entire town got cut off from the rest of society for 3 days because mudslides blocked the only 2 roads in and out of the canyon. 3 days. No way in, no way out. Helicopters had to drop supplies. That can happen again with this storm. Many communities in the transverse ranges have only 1 or 2 access roads. When mudslides hit, and they will hit, entire towns could be isolated. This is why evacuation orders are already in effect around Malibu and other burn scar areas. Those burn scars from recent wildfires, the vegetation that normally holds the soil in place is gone. The ground is exposed, unstable, ready to slide. When 10 inches of rain falls on a burn scar, the soil becomes soup. It flows downhill at speeds up to 35 miles per hour, carrying boulders, trees, and anything else in its path. Mudslides kill people. They destroy homes. They close highways for weeks. If you're in an evacuation zone, leave. Don't wait. Don't think you'll be fine because you were fine in 2005 or 2010 or whenever. This is not that storm. This is a different beast entirely. Here's another twist. While California faces this onslaught, the Northeast is getting snow, and the center of the country is experiencing one of the warmest Christmases on record. 25 to 30 degrees above average in the central United States. Kansas City and Topeka will likely break their all-time high temperature records for Christmas Day in December. Breaking heat records, this massive ridge of high pressure is creating a weather divide across America unlike anything we've seen in years. The perimeter of this ridge is where all the action is happening. California getting hammered, the Pacific Northwest getting hit. Extreme cold in southern Canada, snow and ice potential in the Northeast. But inside the ridge, the plains, the Ohio Valley, the Southeast, calm, warm, almost eerily quiet. And you know what? We should be grateful for that ridge. It's protecting the middle of the country from this chaos. It's like a force field, keeping the worst of it away from the nation's heartland while millions travel for the holidays. But that same ridge is funneling everything, all the moisture, all the energy, directly into California and the West Coast. It's concentrating the worst weather into one region. Now, the Northeast is getting its own dose of winter. Light to moderate snow is falling this morning in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and New England. Some higher elevations will see more than 8 inches, 4 inches in the valleys. Plenty of white Christmases up there, and unlike California, this is the kind of snow the Northeast knows how to handle. This is manageable. This is normal winter weather. But don't get too comfortable, because there's another threat coming right after Christmas. The day after Christmas, December 26th, a significant ice threat develops for Wisconsin and Michigan. Ice, not snow, ice. Accumulating ice that could coat power lines, trees, and roads. Ice that could leave hundreds of thousands without power in the dead of winter. This moves into Pennsylvania and potentially brings more snow to New Jersey and New York City by Saturday. Some places in the Northeast are going to rack up 6 to 8 inches of snow from multiple systems over the next week. New York City is probably going to be one of those places. We're entering a pattern where the East gets colder, the lake effect snow machines turn back on, and winter finally arrives with force after this brief warm spell. Let me repeat the critical information one more time, because this is too important to miss. Southern California, rare high risk of excessive rainfall begins Wednesday, Christmas Eve. 4 to 7 inches widespread, 9 to 10 inches in isolated spots. 18-hour window of most intense rain. Wednesday through Thursday morning. Evacuation orders in effect. Tornado risk. 2% for Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento. Travel extremely dangerous. 4 to 8 feet of snow above 7,000 feet. Snowfall rates 2 to 3 inches per hour at peak. Interstate 80 through Donner Pass nearly impassable. Do not attempt mountain travel. If you live in Southern California and you're thinking, I've been through storms before, I'll be fine, please hear this. Areas that normally don't flood are likely to flood this time. This is not a typical storm. This is a setup that happens maybe once in a decade, maybe less. The National Weather Service doesn't use the phrase life-threatening lightly. They used it for this storm multiple times. And I know this is Christmas Eve. I know this is when we want to be celebrating, traveling to see family, enjoying the holiday. I know we don't want to think about weather emergencies. But this is exactly the kind of situation where we have to make an exception. Your life is more valuable than any travel plan. Your family's safety is more important than any Christmas gathering. If you're issued an evacuation order, go. Take your important documents, your medications, your pets, and go. Don't wait to see how bad it gets. By the time you realize you should have left, it may be too late. Mudslides move fast. Flooding happens rapidly. Roads close without warning. Cell service goes out. You don't want to be trapped. For those traveling through California or the Sierra Nevada, please reconsider. Peak travel time coincides exactly with the peak of this dangerous storm. Wednesday night into Thursday morning is when this system is at its worst, and that's when millions of Americans are on the roads trying to reach their Christmas destinations. Is it worth it? Is any destination worth driving through a potential tornado outbreak, through flooding rains, through 8 feet of snow accumulating at 3 inches per hour? Sometimes the brave choice is to stay home. Sometimes wisdom means changing plans. There's a reason we're given instincts, given the ability to assess danger, given warnings from meteorologists who have dedicated their lives to understanding these systems. We're meant to use that information. And here's something to consider. This storm is happening on one of the most significant days in the Christian calendar, Christmas Eve, the night before we celebrate the birth of Christ. There's a sermon in this storm if we're willing to hear it. Sometimes God uses nature to remind us what's truly important. Not our plans, not our schedules, not our convenience, but our lives, our families, our communities. In Matthew 7, verses 24 through 27, Jesus talks about the wise man who built his house on rock and the foolish man who built on sand. When the storms came, when the floods rose, the house on rock stood firm, while the house on sand collapsed. This isn't just about physical foundations. It's about the choices we make, the wisdom we apply, the preparations we take seriously. This storm is a reminder that we're not in control. Nature is more powerful than our best laid plans. And sometimes the faithful response is to adapt, to adjust, to prioritize safety over convenience. Now, as we approach the end of this forecast, I want to make sure you know what to do next. If you're in Southern California, monitor local news and weather constantly starting tonight. Have multiple ways to receive emergency alerts: phone, radio, television. Know your evacuation routes before you need them. Pack an emergency bag now, tonight, with 3 days of supplies: water, non-perishable food, medications, important documents, cash, flashlight, batteries, first aid kit. Charge all devices fully before the storm hits. Fill your car with gas. Know where your nearest shelter is located. If you're in the Sierra Nevada, do not travel through the mountains Wednesday through Friday unless absolutely essential. If you must travel, carry chains, blankets, food, water, and a fully charged phone. Tell someone your route and expected arrival time. Consider delaying your trip until Saturday or Sunday when conditions improve. For everyone else watching, check on your family and friends in affected areas. Make sure they've seen this information. Make sure they understand the severity of this storm. Share this video. Share the warnings. Sometimes the people we love don't take these threats seriously until someone they trust reaches out personally. Be that person. Make that call. Send that text. The moisture train hitting the West Coast shows no signs of stopping until Saturday. That's 4 more days of atmospheric river conditions, 4 more days of rain, snow, and severe weather. Our focus will shift after Christmas to the Northeast, where another shot of snow is possible around December 29th through 31st as we approach New Year's. A major cold front is coming to the eastern United States, bringing temperatures back below average, turning the lake effect snow machines back on, and ushering in another cold pattern with lots of snow chances. But that's next week. Right now, all eyes are on California. Before we end, I need to tell you about something happening tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Pacific Time, 8 a.m. Eastern. That's when we start our special Christmas Eve coverage that will run continuously for 24 hours, tracking this dangerous storm minute by minute, relay warnings in real time, and providing updates as conditions change. You'll want to tune in. You'll want to share it with anyone you know in affected areas. Because when a storm this dangerous unfolds on Christmas Eve, we don't take the day off. We don't stop monitoring. We stay with it until everyone is safe. This is a developing situation. Conditions can change rapidly. What we know now might be different in 6 hours, in 12 hours, in 18 hours. Check back frequently. Stay informed, stay safe. And remember, the prudent see danger and take refuge. There is wisdom in recognizing when nature demands our respect and our caution. This Christmas, the greatest gift you can give your family is your safety. The greatest present is your presence, not your presence. Make the wise choice. Make the safe choice. We'll be here tracking every development, every warning, every change in this unprecedented Christmas Eve storm. Stay safe out there, everyone, and we'll see you in the next update as this historic weather event unfolds.